Hey guys, welcome back to our channel here. Today we're going to be going over how to shim your track joints. Super critical part. Get rid of any noise. A lot of the clicks that you're used to hearing on click-clack track is because of the joints being uneven. So we have right here, we have one of our routed tracks, and because these are machined out of different sections, different track pieces, there is a variance in the material thickness. That variance we can't control. So there are times where you might have a little bit of an uneven joint. Even screwing it down, that can actually change that. You could have, something under the track. There's just all kinds of things. So right now we will go over our method to shimming the track joints, and we can go from there. So if you look at this piece here, so this track is designed to run in this direction. It can be run in either direction, but there's a small lip here. This track section is just a little bit higher. It's probably only going to take one piece of tape to make that higher. What I will do, and you can use any tape that you want. I like to use masking tape. We use blue here at the shop. You can use beige. If you're colorblind, use whatever you want. But essentially, we cut a strip that is wide enough to cover the entire section where it's uneven. Now, there could be an instance where just this side is uneven and you might run a small piece of tape, okay? You definitely want to put the tape under the track section, which that part is a little bit tricky, but let's go ahead and get this guy unscrewed. And as always, you want to be careful unscrewing that. I have a little washer here that I made. You can make something like this out of anything, but if you put this around the screw head, if you do come off with your screwdriver, you're not going to damage your track piece. And just for the video's purpose, I will continue to use it just to show kind of what and why. It's a lot more critical when you're drilling into the track, but also too, if you're working up here and you have stuff out, I have this cardboard box here laying flat. You can use anything just to protect the track surface. You could put a blanket, a towel, just anything on there. I know that, for a lot of you, this is a big purchase, and you definitely want to, take care of your track. So right now we're going to work this track piece up. And underneath, I am pushing up through the power tap holes. You can see my finger under there. I'm just pushing that track piece up so that I can get the track piece up, and then I will remove the dog bones. Something that I would recommend that you do, if you have to do this on multiple joints, all of the tracks will come with extra dog bones. And if you take a track screw and just screw that right down into your dog bone here, and you usually want to go on the fat side. If you go into the middle, you might expand that and it might not fit into your track. But when you do this, you can go through and install it and pull it out much easier. And you can just reuse that for each spot that you want to put it on. So on this particular piece, we want to make sure that we cover at least the lanes. This part's a little bit tricky. This part, you kind of do have to take a little bit of finesse. I will push it up from underneath, and you really want to be as cautious as you can, and I will just set that right down in there. You can see how it's just sitting there. It's starting to bow, and that's okay. And then when you set your track piece down, it'll just automatically stick to it, okay? And at this point, because that's all that this piece needs, we're gonna go ahead and actually we will put our dog bones back in. Okay, we'll put our track protector piece back in there. And these screws, I like to have them snug. I don't like to be super aggressive and tight with them. And honestly, if you have to, you can loosen them. And I've had guys where they're in, areas that the temperature changes a lot, and they will actually leave these screws loose so that the track section can float. But now we have a real nice track joint. It's smooth in both directions. You could run a car in either way. That one was super easy. That was a one piece of tape. There's times where, if we were cutting two different track pieces out of two different pieces of material, the manufacturer spec is plus or minus 15 thousandths on the material, which is about 3 pieces of tape thick. And that can, if you ended up with the low on one end and the high on the other, you could end up with a pretty good little gap there. And it might take more pieces of tape. I've seen guys use pieces of paper. You could pretty much use whatever you want, okay? But we use tape. It's easy, it's permanent once it goes in there. And that's pretty much it. I mean, you just repeat that process wherever you need to. A lot of times, our worst joints are still gonna be better than most of the plastic mass production track. But if you want your track to be perfect and you want to be able to run in either direction with no noise, this is the method that you would use. Beyond that, if you don't want to shim those, you can actually take clear packaging tape and put it across the top here on each area where the car drives, and that it won't necessarily hold it down level, but it will, for some reason, it takes a lot of the noise out of that joint. That's something you could also try on your plastic track if you don't have one of our tracks. But that's pretty much it. Hopefully you enjoy this video. If you have any techniques that you've come up with that are different than ours, go ahead and post them in the comments down there, and we'd love to hear from you. Thanks.